Here we are today in Woolwich, Maine at OpBox, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by the CEO and co-founder, Ben Davis, who's going to tell us a little bit more about this company, the inspiration behind it, and give us a tour. Ben.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for being here. So we're here at 126 US Route 1 in Woolwich, which is home of OpBox and the Edura Building System. We do a couple different things here. We both manufacture the building material that we use. We use that building material to make our modular buildings, which we're going to take a look at and see how it's done.
So that material is this, what's behind us here, right? The Edura building product?
Exactly, yeah. This was a really fun project. So we had a couple interns last summer who were really talented young folks who used the material to build this dinghy. This is a 10-foot pram. It was the first boat they'd ever made. It's only a little over 100 pounds, and it's made all out of our 3/4 inch Edura material. This is another fun little project. It's a stool that's made out of material. So this is what Edura is. It's actually recycled PET plastic with a composite laminated skin on top. So it's a structural panel that's both insulated, really easy to work with. As you can see, this was CNC'd and does a lot of jobs for just one material.
So for people who are watching this, this is the heartbeat of the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
Everything, this is the backbone, the material of what then becomes a dinghy or an OpBox or fill in the blank, right?
Exactly.
It's like a building material, like many people would think of maybe plywood, but mixed with insulation and framing all together in one.
All together in one. Yeah, we're pretty simple around here. So we simplified the process,
Yeah.
boiled it down into one material that we do a lot of things. And we created this for ourselves because we were building OpBoxes out of portable storage units, and that had its difficulties. And during COVID, we couldn't get portable storage units anymore. So we started creating Edura literally by hand on the floor. That was 4 years ago. And now we're here, and you'll see how we manufacture it today.
Yeah, that's cool. And this is made everywhere from what, 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch thick?
Yeah, down to a 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch.
And then we can go up to 4 inches thick.
Yeah. So a lot of people might be like, why the heck is a real estate guy at a company that's making marine plywood insulation, right? And good question. I mean, the reason we're here is because this is an innovative product that can be used to help with so many different things, whether it's on the marine front or we're hoping, and there's work that's being done to incorporate this into maybe even building homes for people, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
We're out here in your factory, and I'm holding in my hand a panel that's dated October 11th, 2023. So not even 2 years ago. This says it was your first panel produced.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we this building has a lot of history. Most recently, before us, about 18 months ago, it was a Carvana car dealership. It was a boat yard for years before that, and then originally it was a Chevy dealership.
Huh.
So it's seen a lot of life. Now it's a manufacturing facility for a brand new building material.
Yeah. And you've advanced quite a bit even since this first panel was produced, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is when we've made some big jumps from doing it literally by hand just a few years ago to now we make a 4x8 sheet about every 52 seconds. This year we'll have 10-foot standard panels, and we hope to continue to grow that as we get more into residential applications.
So this is all made out of plastic bottles, right?
Yeah, the core is almost 100% recycled PET. It's basically anything you eat or drink out of.
Okay.
Taken out of the waste stream, pelletized, and then basically extruded into this foam board that we laminate together and turn into the structural panel. So it's
With the fiberglass.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
With the thermoplastic fiberglass skin. It's a little bit boat technology, it's a little bit surfboard technology, and a little bit of construction know-how.
I was thinking about that as I'm holding this, and this is the first time I've been here to actually touch the product, and hold it. And I'm like, man, it reminds me of a surfboard.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
My first job was a ding repair guy at Sunny Breeze Snowboards on Marginal Way in Portland when I was in high school. And so that's come through a little bit in this with a lot more smart people that have helped us, develop all the components.
And one would think that if a product can hold up in the ocean,
Yeah.
it's going to hold up well getting rained on 30 or 40 days out of the year. And
Exactly. One of the advantages of being here in Maine is we're surrounded by this amazing history of boat building.
Yeah.
You know, and not just the traditional boat building, wood boat building, but with a lot of innovation in composites. And so some of the advanced technology that like Hodgson Yachts does, that Lyman Morse boat building does, has really kind of trickled down and really influenced what we've brought into the construction industry.
So Ben, we're out here and this is the base of one of the OpBoxes, right? And can you tell me a little bit about like the process? You start with the raw material and then what?
Yeah, so we practice lean manufacturing here. So workstation one is we create the panel. We also sell the panels to other people who create stuff. But how we use them is we turn them into panel kits like you see here. So essentially the Edura Building System is splined together. So you can see them setting up a wall here. The material is really light, so the strength to weight ratio of this material is really through the roof. We're about 75% lighter than the equivalent plywood. So it's really light but really strong, right? And what the panel does is you can see them putting it together. So it is the entire building envelope. So it's the floor, the walls, and then it'll be the roof. And when we organize a panel kit or building kit, everything's labeled on the pallet there, so they literally can go floor, walls, roof, and it's really, really fast.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because what I'm seeing right now is guys are grabbing a panel and instead of framing, like with 2x4s or metal studs, and then affixing a sheet of plywood or some kind of other sheathing to it, and then filling in with insulation, like all those then things, like they just stand up a sheet over here.
Exactly.
And put it in place.
That's exactly it, Matt. And because the panel is as closed cell foam, it's completely waterproof, right? So it's your vapor barrier as well. Doesn't let water in, doesn't soak up water over time, freeze thaw, all those sort of things are just not a factor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it makes it really simple.
And how far can you go with the splices and still have like a shear load for wind and, you know, like can you go like 100 foot long and it's not going to blow over?
Yeah,
or?
this unit right here is actually 32 feet long with no issues. And again, this is just using our 1.5-inch panel. So what happens if you go longer or like to extend the span, we just use a thicker panel because like an I-beam, when you put more distance between the skins, the panel gets stronger, right? The other benefit is you get more insulation, right? Because it's R5 per inch. You're not only getting a stronger panel, but it's better insulated and those type of things.
So just because, as you know, like this drives everything, cost. Like a 4x8 section like these guys are standing up right now, if that were, obviously it's not the same thickness, but just theoretically, and if you don't know, that's all right, but I'm curious, like if that were being built with a 2x4 sheetrock sheathing, insulation, how that compares, wall assembly essentially to this.
Yeah, so what we've done as far as apples to apples comparisons, we come about 20% less expensive.
Really?
When you include the labor.
Yeah.
So that's the key. As a material by itself, if you compare it to any one of the components, so a sheet of plywood is many multiples less expensive than a sheet of Edura. But when you add all of the components, the sheathing, the structure, the insulation, the vapor barrier, the inner wall, the drywall, and you put not only the materials, but how long it takes for someone to do all of that, we're less expensive.
Well, I mean, this is a really great example because what I'm watching right now to play for people that maybe aren't in the construction arena is those guys just did an exterior wall, sheathing, framing, drywall, insulation in like 4 minutes, that one
Yeah, so that's
piece.
4 linear feet in 4 minutes. So you do the math.
Yeah, so much faster.
And you're done, right? And it's also you're eliminating a lot of supply chain risk, right?
Yeah.
So instead of the Hancock lumber truck coming 5 times with all of these different materials, it comes once with one material and you're done. So it simplifies the supply chain, takes a lot of risk out of that with all the different components and speeds up the building process.
So Ben, when we were at the other part of the production line, we were looking at them just standing up a wall and I was asking about windows. This is a facility or structure that you're making for Clink, right? Recycling company?
It is, yes.
And what can you tell me about this layout and what's going on here?
Yeah, so we're standing next to one of the new Clink sustainability stations. These are 32 feet long, 8 feet wide, and have 4 openings that basically you can deposit your bottles. So we'll go and look at a finished one with all the technology included and everything. But for rough openings, this is a little bit custom because of the Clink doors. For a residential unit, it would have a thicker wall, right? Because we build these buildings with only 1.5 inch Edura panel. So that's how strong it is. 1.5 inches, you can do snow load and you can do the whole building envelope just 1.5 inches. If we were doing a 3 or 4 inch wall, it would have the additional insulation and you wouldn't need this additional framing. But essentially, practically, to do a rough opening, all you do is you cut the hole and you put the window in.
Yeah, and then just flash around it and move on.
Exactly. So we do use a little flashing tape.
Yeah.
Help seal that window, but you don't need to build additional headers or anything like that. You essentially just cut the hole, put the window in, and you're done.
Have you looked at like how big that opening could be? Like, can you cut it like a 10-foot wide window hole and still?
Yeah, so the great thing with composites is we have lots of different options, right? So we currently offer a Edura 207 and 407, and what that means is basically our laminates, there's 2 layers of fiberglass thick or 4 layers. Okay. And so as you design and engineer your structure, you can play around with the different types of Edura, and you can use a Edura 407 for that span for a bigger opening, and you basically have more strength in that panel. So there's a lot of different options you can do.
Hey Ben, we're outside now. I got my hat on because it's freezing here in Maine. But we're inside the OpBox, similar, but a little bit, this one looks a little smaller to me than the one we were in inside. But it's got the windows, it's got the chaseways with the wiring. I'm seeing it's got conduit going up for the solar panels and the wind that's on the roof, is that right?
Yeah, so this is an off-grid unit. We do off-grid units, not just for the recycling technology with Clink here, but also for retail, hospitality. We've done off-grid beer venues and also retail stores and stuff like that. So yeah, this is powered by solar, and there's a wind generator as well, which is all the electrical stuff that you see.
So if I'm like an LL Bean and I wanted to be able to sell my t-shirts on the beach in Ogunquit or something, I could call up you, OpBox, and say, hey, make me one of these self-contained units. I want to be able to have power, and everything, and I don't have anything to plug into. You can make that a reality for people.
Yeah, exactly. Just with a lot of the same components that they use in, camper van conversions and boats and that sort of stuff. It's a lot of the same technology, just applied in a commercial space. For that off-grid technology, we house battery compartment. This uses our actually 3-inch Edura, which is R15. Oh. And so we house all the technology, the charge converter, the batteries, all of those types of things that are really the brains of the solar and wind power and the electrical system in a climate controlled unit. Because for this particular use, the rest of the unit's not climate controlled, but we keep all the technology housed in a nice warm little locker.
Oh, cool. So that will have a little bit of heat to it, or make its own heat.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
So Ben, we're back inside, and I'm looking at a Poland Spring bottle full of a bunch of stuff. What can you tell me about this?
So these are essentially the PET chips, flakes that are used to make the foam board that's in your other hand. So we're using PET plastic, typically the stuff you eat or drink out of, taking it out of the waste stream. It's going into this core material that makes up the Edura panel. And that core material in the buildings that we were just in outside, in a 32-foot unit that will be a sustainability station for Clink, uses a little over 22,000 of these to build that structure.
Wow,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not only creating a place for people to bring their recyclables, but you're getting the recyclables that they're bringing to that building into a material to make another building.
Yeah, it's a great part of the story, and the partnership with Clink is to be able to create a use case for the recycling that's going in the building. So it's pretty fun.
So it's kind of really interesting story, because right now you can make a material that can make a dinghy boat and put it in the ocean and theoretically row by a bunch of these bottles, sadly, that in time can get out of the water system and get out of being wasted and put into production, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, you know, most consumers see this all the time, and they see the label on the side that says empty and recycle cap, plastic bottle, like, but then that's it. You know, they might go to a Clink facility, drop it off, and you guys are really stepping up, not only to make those facilities, but then make something out of what gets dropped off there. Better for the world and better for the environment overall. Ben, thanks for showing us the space and telling us the story about OpBox, Edura Building Products, and the great work that you're doing right here in Maine. If people want to learn more about this, where should they go?
Yeah, thanks for coming to visit. We love doing tours, so appreciate you coming. So they can see us online at theopbox.com or the edurabuildingsystem.com,
Okay.
in both those places.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.